Hey guys, welcome to Mando and Friends, presented by Verizon. Ya saben quién es. ¿Lo quieren en español o lo quieren en inglés? I'm here with one of my favorite artists, Mexican-American, Latina, one of the most talked about rappers in the game right now, Snow the Product.
Thank you.
Snow, how are you?
Hell of an intro. Thank you. I'm good, man. Thank you for having me too. I'm like coming straight off of like a good weekend of like fun, so I'm like super refreshed, and you can ask me anything.
I love it. I love it. You know, we all need a little bit of like me time and get out. You work your butt off.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
The few days that you do get to get to yourself, it's necessary.
Yeah, I agree. Or for my family, I think a lot of times too, you know, sometimes like you don't want to take a day off for yourself because you're like, I'm good, I don't need it, I want to work. Like that's the Mexican in me, you know, but it's like, like, you know, you can't forget like your family needs it, you know, like your family needs your time and, you know, so yeah, I'm happy.
So, you know, talk to me about that hustle in you. Like I always say that my pops taught me how to work and my mom taught me how to love, you know, and my pops has worked his ass off still today, you know, till this very day. He's been breaking his back for over, you know, 30, 40 years. Where would you say that you first learned how to grind?
I think definitely both my parents. My mom, I wouldn't say, I love the story that a lot of Mexican people have with their parents, with their mom, is like they're very loving and caring, and you know what I mean? Like, my mom wasn't necessarily like that. Like, she was kind of more like the worker one, you know what I mean? I think my dad was more caring, and like I was more of a daddy's girl growing up. So I feel like I had that reversed role, but my mom always was hustling or doing something, you know, to like make some money, you know. She would always like she used to sell clothes, so she would like, you know, agarrar de mayoreo and then sell it to her friends, and payment structures and like that. So it was always very I learned that from my mom. And my dad had a lot of great ideas, but he never really followed through with them. So I knew growing up, like I wanted to have the ideas like my dad had, but the follow through of my mom, you know. So yeah. I think that's where I got it from.
I know your pops was a musician, right?
Yeah. My dad wrote mariachi songs. He sang mariachi. Like my grandpa sang mariachi. All my life, it was just mariachi everywhere on my dad's side, you know. So
is that when you first got that itch for music? You think?
I mean, I've been singing as long as I knew, like mariachi, you know.
Yeah.
Like I never really sang English song or like anything like that, but mariachi. Since I was like 3, I can't remember a time that we had a party and I didn't have to sing, you know. And it wasn't actually a good thing. Like I hated when they would be like, "Ándale, Claudia, like, you know, you gotta sing." I'd be like, you know, it was embarrassing, or I'd be wanting to play with all the kids, and then, you know, here I am, I have to stand up and sing, and you know. But my parents loved it, and eventually, like my dad had me like on a train in Mexico. Like I sang and I made some money, or like I would sing like at a bar and I made some money. So like I knew that you could make money off of it, you know. So I did it, but I don't know. It's weird because it's like such a different life that I've lived. That phase of my life, and then like rap was so separate.
Yeah.
So I don't even know how I started rapping.
Yeah, you know when you say, "Hey, que venga a cantar, que venga a cantar," that was like my pops with me.
Yeah.
Like we had a little party, and my dad loves karaoke still to this day, and it was always like, you know, "Hey, háblale a Mandito," and like I already knew, bro. I already knew. Hey, Mandito, and I was like, "Oh no, mom, dile que no." And he, you know, they would make me like go out and sing, and I always think like maybe that's why we're here, you know, because like we kind of like got that little taste of being a performer.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's where it comes from, and you know, not being shy, because I think there was times too where I wasn't told to sing, and then I would get up and sing, you know what I mean? So it's like, you know, I don't know, it comes from somewhere for sure.
Do you have a favorite mariachi song that you love to sing?
My dad wrote 2, right? He wrote La Mera Mera and La Mexicanita, which is so crazy that like those were the 2 songs my dad wrote for me when I was like 5 or 6, you know. And it's like to this day have that be an identity of mine, like be on stage and be very like mera mera or like Mexicana, you know, like all these things is like, this isn't just a fad that I picked up. This isn't just something that like, right now it's popular to be a Mexican rapper, so I'm hopping on the trend. It's like, dude, this has been instilled in me since I was a little girl. And because my dad saw the lack of like pride in some, you know, Mexican Americans, he's a very Mexican dude. So he was just like, you know, you're not going to be like these little, you know, Americanized Mexicans that aren't, you know, proud of who we are. Like, you better know what, you know, de donde eres y tus raíces y castellano and like all these words that were so, you know what I mean? Like, he was very proud. So, yeah, I don't know. It just, that's how I grew up. You know, I don't know anything else.
So he was like your first, like history teacher in a sense, like teaching you about the code, like Castellano, things like that. Like,
yeah, he's a very proud dude. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, you know, and my mom too, she was very, you know, even though she's like light complected, like my mom's like a ginger, right? So her side of the family is like white as hell. But yeah, I learned that. I learned the more like northern Mexican region, how that is, and then how, you know, Michoacan and like the southern, you know, like I kind of like was raised like that, and I'm very like de rancho and stuff. So it's like, I don't know, it's so perfect that nowadays in 2021, some of the stuff that people are now learning is like, yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah. So know? You said que eres de rancho. So do you or your family, what part of Mexico is your fam from?
My dad's from Michoacan, my mom's from Zacatecas, and yeah, we're from Rancho. Like, we definitely aren't from money at all. Like, my dad's side, they started to go to school, and, you know, we do have some, like, licenciados and stuff like that, but my mom's side is straight up Rancho. Like, they came as immigrants, and they worked here forever. They went back and, you know, made themselves a little house, and they're happy to be from there, but we're definitely from, like, corn pickers and like fruit, you know, like that's how we grew up. So very like animals, ranch life, you know, donkeys, horses, pigs, goats, all that. Like I grew up with all that, you know, which is why I'm very happy to be able to have now my own ranch, even though I don't plan on having like mad animals or anything, but at least that vibe is like, that's what I want, you know, how a lot of our parents, I grew up with my parents always wanting to go back to Mexico one day, you know, that's the dream, is like, you come here, you work hard, you send some money to Mexico, and then you eventually like live there. Yeah. To me, it was like, I want my rancho here, you know what I mean? Like, I want to be able to raise my kid here and also have my rancho, but I'm not gonna lie, I still have some land in Mexico in case it doesn't work out here. I'm just gonna dip.
Backup plan.
I got a backup plan for sure.
No, so you ever think about, you know, your fam? You know, like my grandparents are from Tecomán, Colima, Mexico, and my grandfather had a ranch, and I sometimes bug out like the generations and the difference in generations. Like, you know, my grandfather, in order to make men's meat, like he would sell limones and mangos, and, you know, had burros and caballos, and like I don't even think he had money to buy caballos, to be honest with you. It was like bulls not bulls, donkeys, you know, to carry the loads of things that they had to sell. Do you ever think about like the generational strides and think like, man, like I've come a long way?
Yeah. Yeah. I think I always was aware of that. From the beginning of my career, when I would do the woke stuff, like it came from that, you know, like of like, be aware of all these opportunities that you have. Cause I would go to high school, and I had a bunch of friends that like just all their complaints were about stuff that I was just like, are you kidding me? You know, like I literally grew up, like I went to school in Mexico, like I saw, you know, le teníamos que llevar lonche a mi abuelito, like we literally rode a donkey, like there was no paved roads, it's all dirt, like, you know, we had to go, you know, miles to you know, to work and miles back. Like I grew up with all that, you know what I mean? So to me, it was just always so like, it was very unappreciative how people were, you know what I mean? And like I always was so happy of having this opportunity. And of course you talk about, you know, like like the system, what is it? Systemic or systematic?
Systemic, yeah.
I always fucking those two words up. But anyway, systemic racism, right? Like, and things aren't set up to make us win. And I get that. But at the same time, you got a lot of opportunity here that you got to be able to work with. You know what I mean? You can't have all the ingredients to make the bread and complain you don't got bread. Like, you make bread, you know?
Right.
So I think for a long time, I've had that in mind, and I'm very grateful that, you know, my grandparents, my parents, how much they've done to set me up to win, and I'll be damned if I don't win. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So talk to me on your IG. You've had this for a while too. You have no management, no label. Tell me about that. Tell me the meaning behind that.
Oh, I had to say that because there's a lot of people out here capping. Like, there's a lot of people that behind closed doors in industry rooms, they be acting like they did something for me that they didn't. And then, you know, they're literally getting certain jobs or opportunities based off what they did for me. And then it's like they it up and then it's somehow attached to me. And I'm like, don't attach me to none of these motherfuckers. You know what I mean? Like, nah, that's it. It's really out of like the necessity to like be like, yo, you know, at least talk to me about what it is, because I don't like people. I feel like I'm willing to understand that it's been harder for me to make it in this industry. I'm down to take every L that comes with it. But if I'm doing that, then also don't take certain credits away from me. You know what I mean? It's like, you give it to, you know, pick a side. You can't have both. It can't be like, I have all these struggles because I've done it on my own, and then also have people taking the credit of what I have done. It's like, which one is it, you know? And that's it. And also to make sure that people know, you know, for a long time, I think I did a good job about not letting people know about my stuff, because, you know, I was struggling. I didn't have money. Like, I wasn't eating at Atlantic. Like, there was nothing there. But I did a good job about not looking like I was struggling that bad. That I think a lot of people didn't even know that they could help me if they wanted, you know? They could throw me a bone or be like, yo, check this out, I got this opportunity, like break off some bread and I got you. Like, any of that type of shit wasn't happening, because they were just like, oh, like she's just independent, she got it on her own. And now I'm just like, nah, I'm just here, just give me a call, like same number, 10 years, like, you know. And I've just been very focused on letting everybody know that, you know, I'm down to collaborate or work or whatever, but I don't want people blocking those blessings anymore and taking in certain credits for certain shit they didn't do. You
think there's a perception when you sign to a major label, that once you're, you know, oh, she signed, she's like made it, she's set. Mm-hmm. Do you think that was the case?
No, I don't think so. I signed to Atlantic because I knew that at that time there was no Mexican people being put on. There was no women really making it. At the time you had to be Nicki and there was nobody else. You know what I mean? So at that time I needed to have somebody. I was selling CDs and I was doing my independent hustle by myself. And a lot of the Chicano rap scene, a lot of the Mexican people that were out here, they didn't give a fuck about me. Yeah. So I needed to show somebody else gave a fuck about me for them to even care. You know what I mean? So it's like, and that's the fucked up part. And I knew I was taking an L going there. And maybe I even called it to myself. Maybe I manifested all the trouble that I had because I knew I'm going to a major label. I already know what's going to come with that because I was a Lupe Fiasco fan. So it's not like I was dumb to it. You know what I mean? So it's like I knew it was coming, but I was like, at the same time, when I'm out here selling CDs by myself or I'm out here representing my own little shit, nobody cares because they don't think I'm associated to something bigger. Yeah. Unfortunately, in our, in our community, people need to see you associated to something bigger to even think you're gonna be shit, because they're like, she ain't shit. She's from where we're from, she ain't shit. And it's like that, I needed to break free of that stigma of like independent means struggling or broke as hell. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, not until the white people give you a check and give a fuck about you are the Mexican people gonna even care. Yeah. Is there an independent artist that before you were independent that you were kind of like, well, they're kind of doing it on their own and they're killing it, I can do it too? I loved Wiz's whole movement, to be honest, and he wasn't independent, he was at Atlantic. That's why I remember being at my house in Texas, seeing Wiz win an award and being like, he thanked everybody and he said Atlantic Records. I remember looking at the TV and I was in my little garage studio and I was like, I need to go to Atlantic. Wow. So it was crazy that I had that talk. So it's like, to me, I'm not salty at that record label. I think they gave me an opportunity. I had a baby. I got a check. I was able to invest that money. You know, like, I think it wasn't the right time, no matter what label I would have been on. I think it just wasn't the cards weren't dealt for an artist like myself to pop off at that time. It just wasn't, you know what I mean? Like there had to be so much paving a road for people to even see. LGBT people are now a big forefront of things, immigration, you know, Mexicans, and all the political I've been saying for all these years needed to happen for me to be able to talk about it, like black and Hispanic, black and brown relations being at the forefront, like all these things that I've been saying the world needed to catch up for it to make sense what I'm talking about. Otherwise, I'm just at these interviews sounding crazy and be like, here's these Mexicans and immigrants, and it's like, it didn't make sense to people.
Yeah.
But now it's like everybody's talking about it, so it's like, yeah, we're here.
When we say Verizon te da más, we mean it.
La red más premiada ahora incluye Disney Plus, Hulu e ESPN Plus.
Todos pueden tener lo que quieren sin pagar de más.
Y todo desde $35 por línea. The network more people rely on te da más. Cámbiate a Verizon.
Wow, I never thought about it like that. So like I mean, in a sense, you were kind of ahead of your time then.
A little bit. You know, ahead of your time is like such a sad thing.
Why?
It's such a sad thing. I think sometimes when I think about it, I'm like, there's been so many people that were ahead of their time. There's been so many people that been saying the right shit. And, you know, people unfortunately gravitate towards like the guilt of not supporting that when it was popping. But it's like, if you really think about it, when you think of the Selenas and the Nipseys and the Jennys and all that, like when they were there, people didn't really give them what they deserved. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's such a sad thing to think about. Like, people never really appreciate it till it's not there anymore. And I'm like, dude, that's why I said it in a song. I'm like, bro, I'm not trying to call nothing to myself. I'm like, I'm a legend, like, and I know that shit, but I ain't trying to fucking, you know, die for the sake of that legend status. I'm good, bro. Like, I got a kid. I'm trying to have more kids. Like, I'm good. Like, if y'all need to sleep on me for the rest of I'm totally fine with that being the case. You know, them sad stories are sad.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I think, you know, I'm thinking like in the entrepreneur world, there are a lot of people that have been ahead of their time, and then, you know, eventually like it's their time and they help the world evolve. And I think that's what you've done with your music, Snow. I think like, you know, maybe a few years ago, people were looking at you like, okay, that's true. But now that all these things have happened in the world, now you're like, the magnifying glass is sort of on you. Like and you're kind of like a prophet now, you know. People are looking at you like, yo, she's talking about real stuff.
Yeah, I think my story is inspirational more than songs in general, because there's times when I meet fans or whatever and they're like, oh, your songs inspired me so much, and sometimes some of my songs pop in my head. I'm like, really? I'm like, which one? You know, like, I'm like, you know, there's a couple, but it's not like I'm out here boom bap rapping, you know. I think for the most part I make funny, silly songs or whatever. I think the story's inspiration.
Yeah.
You know, I think sticking to the same thing and staying solid and making this work with my family, and, you know, coming up. And even though for a long time people maybe thought I forgot about who was there for me, but it's like, nah, like it was all a fucking means to an end. And then, you know, when you buy a plot of land and you're like, bam, me and my cousins and my family are gonna fucking live here, and we're gonna build, and we're gonna have a compound, and we're gonna shoot videos, and we're gonna, you know, record and make a podcast and make music videos and make songs, and, you know, have all our merch. Like, we're gonna do all together, and then on the weekends we're gonna carne asada and we're gonna fucking kick it in the pool, and you know what I mean? It's like, that's the dream, that's what you set out to do. And for a long time, because it's not happening, people think you aren't gonna cumplir with what you had, but you do it, you know. And then when you do it, you're like, I told y'all, you know, and it feels good. So I think that's the biggest thing for me, is just like the story being there, and you can always like look up through the YouTube or through my social media and be like, damn, like, this is how you did it. And notice that a lot of people don't tell you about the story while it's happening. They wait until the story's over, and then they kind of like give it to you like that. With this type of shit, you've seen it. It's been there. You see how long it takes. You see how many mistakes. You see every negative thing along with it. And then you realize, like, shit, that was a whole story happening, you know? It's dope.
Yeah, and I feel like with social media now, people are following your story, like, as opposed to you kind of, you know, you're not working in silence, and then boom, like, this is my, you know, this is the final product. Like,
yeah,
now, you know, you get to share sort of like the entire journey with people that are following you, with your fans, and I think
Yeah.
I think that's part of like that inspiring story, and Snow, the fact that you're so transparent and you're so relatable, man. Like we need more people, more stories like yourself. It's a real beautiful thing. Like you said you're doing what you love, right? And you're proud of where you came from, and then you wanted to create this. We talked about the rancho life, right? Like you have your own ranch. Like that's baller, bro.
Yeah, I mean it's dope. I think I always wanted. I knew that it was gonna be hard for me, but if I could do it as a woman, and being Mexican, like back then when there wasn't as many of us, I think if I could do that, like there is no reason I can't help other young Mexican men, for example, come up, and I have tried. I have, on a handshake deal, very Mexican of me, been like, yo, let's do this. I'm gonna help you because if I could do it, like you could do it. So we're gonna, and that's one of the hard troubles that I think I've come across is like, maybe don't do on a handshake deal, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I've learned certain things in that too, where now whenever I want to build, like my label, or whenever I want to do like a big entertainment company and be able to show these people, these young people, like, yo, this is how I did it. Like, not necessarily skip steps, because I learned the hard way that you shouldn't let anybody skip steps, because there's lessons in those steps that you need, you know what I mean? To like weather this, because entertainment is like difficult and a lot of it is very emotional. So, but I think at least being able to guide better and being able to I do think I now have built an infrastructure to help a lot of my own people fucking get put on. And I think that's my, that's what I was supposed to do. I think, had I made it a lot younger, or like had I made it myself so long ago, like I don't think it would have worked out as great as now. I'm like, bro, like somebody called me la mamá de los pollitos the other day, and I was like, oh my God, I'm lit. Like I could never have been la mamá de los pollitos back then, but now I could dead ass be that. You know what I mean? And I'm like, that's dope, because I am very motherly. I am very, this is a matriarch. I am very nurturing to the people around me, and I always want to make sure that I'm solid and I take care of the people around me. And it's like, now I can, now I got home base, and now we can move from there, and that's all that really matters. And
isn't that the dream?
That's the dream,
That's
man.
the dream, right?
This is the dream. I have that imposter syndrome, or like sometimes I feel like, damn, it's too good. Like, like I hope nothing, you know what I mean? Because you're like, yo, is this the end of the story? Like usually the princess like goes to like, she's finally happy, and then the ends. Like what happens after that, But then like I have a bad day, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like we're not there yet. Like I'm still having my bad days, and that's that self-sabotage shit. But I don't know. I'm happy. I think it is working out.
I've heard you talk about imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Like, do you still feel that from time to time?
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm doing better about stepping into my own light and understanding like I deserve to be in this conversation, or like I deserve to be in this room. But sometimes it is weird, like when I think that's what's held me back for a long time, is like I'm better at talking about people around me than I am about myself. So sometimes, it's easier to deflect than for me to be in a room and then people be having a conversation and me being like, wait a minute, well, actually I'm worth this because of this. It's like I wouldn't really speak like that, because I felt like, oh, they're going to think I'm a bitch, or they're going to think I'm, cocky, or they're going to think all this stuff, and I think in our community, especially like being raised Mexican, I think that, your tios or your parents, people kind of laugh at you or whatever. They're just like, bien creída, or te crees bien muy, or, oh, yeah, you. It's so easy for people to make fun of you in those ways.
That's
rather
crazy.
than be like, yeah, like go in that room and fucking get what you deserve. Or, you know what I mean? Tell those people in that meeting that, it's like a lot of our family like puts it in our head, like, don't forget where you come from. And it's like, I don't forget where I come from, but how can I, since my uncle wants to always be telling me I deserve less, you know what I mean? It's like sometimes our family's traumas have affected us in a way that ends up holding us back, and I think that's one of the things that I speak about a lot of like on my podcast or on my vlogs, and that I tell my fans, like, you know, I come from, my mom's one of 9, my dad's one of 9, you know, they were poor as like they grew up not having attention or money from their parents. So they grew up with their traumas of needing that, and you know, they unfortunately went about it in very unhealthy ways to fill those holes, and those ended up affecting their kids and, you know, my cousins and me and my brother, and like, you know, so breaking those generational traumas and also trying to be the first one to create generational wealth is a real fucking thing, you know, and it's like, these are things that other artists aren't dealing with. So hell yeah, when I was at a label and they're like, well, you're not making as many songs as this other rapper, and she's, you know, shaking her and doing all this. It's like, well, I can't fucking do that because I'm currently calling every single one of my uncles and aunts trying to make sure that they're good because somebody just got deported and everybody's crying, and you know what I mean? Like, you got all these things you're dealing with that you're just like, bro, I can't what's the word? I can't fit into this thing you guys need me to be in this music industry. So maybe I'll just build it by myself. But when I do build it by myself, and when I do get to a particular place, don't take no credit from me and don't take no money from me, because I did this myself. And that's where I'm at right now with it.
No management, no label.
Pay me my money. No, I'm just joking.
Talk to me about being your own boss.
I'm really not. I think it's funny because I am, but at the same time, I got like mad bosses. Like what Dave Chappelle just said this, you know, like he went to his fan base because that's his boss. Like, you know, I tell that to my crew all the time because there's been times when me and my crew kind of, you know, we're talking, you know, to each other, and they're like, you know, well, if I fuck up, you know, you're going to be on my, I'm like, yeah. And if I fuck up, who's on my? A bunch of people, you know what I mean? Like whether it's whatever brand I'm working with, whatever venue I'm working with for a show, my agent or my, you know, the fans, or, you know, if I fuck up, if I say some stupid, or if I stop working and I don't have a song in however many months because I've been fucking off, like I got plenty of people I look to and I'm responsible for, you know? So, and for example, and I have my family and my friends that if I got payroll and I can't make it because I decided to go off for, you know, a couple months, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like I'm just free. And that's where a lot of people get it twisted. A lot of people are like, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to work for myself because I want to make money while I'm sleeping. And it's like, these Gary V, everybody got everybody up right now. It's like you're in a better position to link up with your friends and make a business together and try to come up than all 7 of y'all try to make your own businesses. All 7 of y'all are in competition now and up. It's like you're better off clicking up and trying to make a business, you know what I mean? And it's like a lot of people really got it up right now, and it's sad because I think that these like entrepreneur guru people are a lot of young people up, and I'll be watching some of that and I'll be like, bro, I don't know, do it a different way. That's why I'm selling you a new package. No, I'm just joking. That's why you need to subscribe to my, no, I don't know. I sometimes just be ranting because I see a lot of social media that I just be like, it's so dumb.
What do you think is the biggest misconception of who you are and what you do?
That I'm angry. I think that I'm angry, or that I'm like bitter about, I think a lot. I was telling you were asking me if I'm on Clubhouse, and it's like, I like it. I go in there here and there, but I think sometimes some of the conversations turn into, you know, tell us what went wrong, or like why it was you're mad about this, and it's like, I'm not though. Like, I've understood on some life, timing is everything. Maybe certain things didn't pan out because it just wasn't the right time. Maybe things needed to, you know, gain some pressure and some momentum before something better can come along, you know? Like, happiness is everything, you know? Like, I definitely believe in valuing quality of life over clout, you know? And that's one of those things that, like, I said this a long time ago to Bad Baby. Like, I was like, bro, like, her at 15 going through all and turning it into a career, that's crazy. If you really think about you being 15 and mad people talking the worst they can say to you on the internet, like to the point where there's been teenagers that have killed themselves over that type of, and it's like, and you turn that into a career. Like, dude, emotionally, maybe some of these people are stronger than me. Maybe emotionally I wouldn't have been able to take the fame at that time, and God bless me for me to be able to like slow brew some other, you know what I mean? Because I'm a very emotional, like I've dealt with depression my whole life. I have anxiety. Like I'm smart, but that doesn't mean that emotionally I could take everything that comes with fame. And if I rather make solid money over here, but not necessarily have all that hate, I'd rather take that, to be honest, just for my own well-being and my own like health. You know?
When we say Verizon te da más, we mean it.
La red más premiada ahora incluye Disney Plus, Hulu e ESPN Plus.
Todos pueden tener lo que quieren sin pagar de más.
Y todo desde $35 por línea. The network more people rely on te da más. Cámbiate a Verizon.
I think that's the difference between, being rich and being wealthy,
Yeah.
Is that you just, being happy, having health, that, and I think that, do you think that comes after you start making money, Snow, or you always thought that way?
I feel like I always thought that way. I just didn't get it yet. You know what I mean? Like, whenever you have you understand the general concept, but you're like, but I still want to, I still want to do this. You're still kind of in that mindset. And I do think, I had my first house before I got signed to Atlantic. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's not like I wasn't a smart person. Like since I was 17, I went and I bought some Pro Tools off Craigslist, and I started, charging for studio time. Like I Googled my way through everything from learning Pro Tools to learning Reason to just everything that I could do. I built my own booth and my own studio. Like I always was very trying to build something. Plus, a blessing to me was my little brother. I had to talk with him when he was 17, and I'm like, what do you want to do with life? Let me know now, because my mom's going to kick you out, and let's figure it out. He's like, I don't know. He's like, I guess I'll help you. I'm like, well, what do you like to do? He's like, camera? I was like, all right, bet. Bought the camera, and it was just me and my brother ever since.
Wow.
So it was literally like building, and I was telling my girl this the other day, if you're a smart person, and this government, the way the world is, especially in the United States, you got to keep growing as a business.
Yeah.
It's literally good for you. Like as far as tax write-offs or, whatever, like you just got to keep growing. So if you're smart, you just keep growing. And as you keep growing, you just keep making more money, because it's inevitable. So it's like, why don't people think like that and just grow, invest, bet on yourself, roll the dice? Like that's what I did. There was times when I was down to my last $400 and I spent it on myself, as far as like promotional flyers or CDs, or hit streets and flip it or whatever. And I got laughed at. I got made fun of. My friends were like, oh, you think you're a rapper now? Like all these things that happen, and you just weather it and you go through it, and you lose a lot of fucking friends because you realize everybody just kind of thinks you're dumb, but you just keep going. And eventually,
when did that shift happen? When people were like, oh, you think you're a rapper now? To where, oh no, she's like a legit rapper now. I
wouldn't know how to tell you, because I stopped talking to all those people. I walked away. Like I walked away, like literally. And I have one friend who from back then, and I've reconnected with a lot of different friends, but it's like only the ones that were good for my mental health. There's a lot of people that pop back up 10 years later. Oh man, you remember, and they want to rekindle it. And
I'm
you're
so
like,
proud of
man.
you. Like,
and you feel it, because I've been in, this is a tough road where like you don't feel like you have that many friends. So it is nice, to hear from them, and you want to barbecue and you want to drink with them, and it's cool, but you also understand that y'all's lives are different now, and it sucks. And that's why I think this is kind of sad, because it's like knowing that timing doesn't always work out perfectly sucks, because you're like, damn, we could have been really good friends. Like we could have built some lit. I have this friend that is an amazing singer, and I tried my best to make this person like be a singer, like, and to this day, like anything she needs from me, got it. You got it 100%, but timing and just things didn't work out, and it's sad. You sit there and you're like, I hate wasted potential. So that's how I know that eventually I'm gonna have to deal with like talent or artists or shit like that, because I genuinely love to see the amazing story of going from this to this and how dope it is. And when you live up to your potential, I want to relive my, it's been amazing. I'm like, let's fucking do it again. So
that's why I always say it's more important to have a strong work ethic than talent. Like
facts.
Hustle beats talent at times. Like you can be the
100%.
most talented person, but
I tell that to people too whenever they tell me like, oh, you're talented, so it'll work out. And I'll be like, there's way less talented people out here, because I have anxiety. I work out of anxiety. Like, sometimes I'm just sitting there and I'm like, I gotta do something. Like, and people be like, relax, like, you're good, like, you're all this. And I'm like, hustle does beat talent.
Yeah.
So me being a great rapper doesn't mean to me, like, I gotta still work.
Yeah.
And I thank God that I am a good rapper, but I like to try different. I like to direct videos. I like to edit. I like to,
You're a creative.
Yeah, I like all that. So it's like I just don't stop because I like it. It's fun. Sometimes I have my off days and I'm sitting there and I'm like, it is boring.
What is like the day-to-day look like to you? Like, what's I mean, I'm sure every day changes and is different, but what's like a I guess regular for you?
I think every day I wake up at like 8 or like 7:30 and I drink coffee and I spend a little morning with my dogs and then I go to the studio. For the most part, like, I go that way, but between me drinking coffee and me getting to the studio, I live in a ranch where here's the merch, here's the other merch, here's any, like, my cousin who is now my assistant has emails for me or calls for me or whatever, you know what I mean? So it's like from me getting from my kitchen to the studio, which is like all the way over here, there's all this. And that is one thing where it's like my days are different every day. And I think that's why I can work so much, is because I do have ADD. So it's like I just can find, there's always something I can work on or with that I'm not bored. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes even getting in the studio every day is fucking boring. You're like, great, here I go again, writing a fucking song. Like, but sometimes, just all that fun of like, what am I gonna do today is dope.
How long have you had that ranch?
I don't know, like 7 months, 8 months. But even before that, I had a house that had
Like
4 little
similar,
buildings,
yeah.
similar thing. It was just smaller, but it's like, and I had a warehouse here in like North Hollywood, and same thing. The warehouse had all the screen printing stuff and the merch on the other side, and then the studio. Like, I've always kind of had this little compound vibe. It's just that now it's all on one property as opposed to before where I had to drive around.
So like when the pandemic hit, everyone having to isolate and quarantine and all that, was that kind of like normal for you?
Yeah. It was hilarious because people were just like, oh, you guys are, there's all those people together and stuff. And I'm like, we all literally like, live together.
Yeah.
Like, this is a pod, so it's been great that, I work with my pod. That's my pod. Even when quarantine is over, we're still going to call it a pod because that's literally what we are, We're just a group of people that this is who I'm always with. So it's been good. I thought I'm a very heavy touring artist as far as like, music. Like, I'm not a I don't know, radio person or whatever. So I tour.
Yeah.
I thought I would go broke if I didn't have tours. And this was an eye opener for me. It was like, I'm not going to die if there's no tours, So it's helped me pivot and grow other parts of my business. And then they've been great. So I can only imagine what it's going to be when I'm back on the road. That's
crazy. What do you miss most about being on the road, being on tour?
The fans. Like, I do miss that interaction. I do miss, there's times in my music that I don't even realize that a song meant that much to people until I play it for the first time and they just go crazy. You know what I mean? Like, and I miss that. Like, I miss that connection between human beings because that's what it's all about. You know what I mean? Like, I could go in any room and talk to industry people and they could be like, that's fire, bro. We're going to support it. It's great. But it's like, there's a difference when you actually see the fans, or whenever, let's say you tell industry people like, yo, check this song out. And they're like, oh, that's cool. But then when the fans react, you know what I mean? And you show that footage.
That's
like,
real.
oh, damn, So it's cool. I love taking it straight to the fans. That's the biggest thing.
What do you say is a song that you've put out but haven't yet performed and you're excited to perform?
Right before tour stopped, I had dropped this song called Butter that I kind of started, but I hadn't really, and like Say, I started playing a little bit but I hadn't, not to this level, because some of these songs now, like Waste of Time is at like 28 million, like a lot of these songs have grown to like grow, and it's like, damn, like I can't wait to hear my fans like really sing with me and stuff, you know. Or like I have this song called On My that I like produced the beat, shot the video, edited, and like I did everything myself, and it's like, you know, it's doing well, and I'm just like I'm excited to hit the road with something, you know what I mean? It's like do the whole thing by myself. It's like that's dope. But I'm not gonna lie, at this point it's just fun. Like I'm just having fun. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, and that's the best thing that an artist can have is like the freedom to do whatever they want.
I feel like you have a lot of different type of genres too, Snow. Like you've done, I mean, and you do Spanish and English. You've collabed with like Ty Dolla and Arcangel, you know, Tech Nine.
Yeah.
What kind of, if it's, I always think it's difficult to label an artist because so many artists do different types of music, and you know, you're a very great example of that. Like,
Yeah.
how would you describe your music
I don't even know. I think that's one of the things that gets a little bit difficult is that
to like someone that's never like this is the type of music I make?
I don't even know. I'm telling you, that's why sometimes I even feel like back to that like label stuff or Atlantic stuff is like, I can't even blame them because I am a hard artist to pinpoint, you know what I mean? Or like to put, because it's like, you know, in the industry as it is right now, you have to be, are you pop? Are you rhythmic? Are you urban? Are you know, where do you fit?
Yeah.
Like, how can we sell you? Like, you have to have these things. It's almost like being a new type of food. You know what I mean? It's like, do we put you in dairy? Do we put you in, you know, it's like, so it's like, you got to pick where the do you sit at, you know? So unless you're dead ass gonna, you know, bet on yourself and be in one of those front counter thingies, you know, whenever they put you there, that's me. Like I'm there, and it's like, if you know this brand, then with it. If not, I don't really know, because I do fit so many categories. And genuinely, that's the thing too, is like, I'm not hopping on Spanish because it's new. Since the beginning of my music, I've always had one Spanish track on any project I do, you know, or like I'm not just doing stuff with like Puerto Rican rappers or like Dominican. I was rapping with Temperamento and Alex Fat and like everybody in New York, all the Dominican rappers 10 years ago. You know what I mean? So it's like all these things that I've been doing, it's just honestly, it's just cool. Like, I don't know, I'm an artist, you know? If I feel like rapping in Spanish, I'm gonna do it. If I feel like singing, I'm gonna sing. If I feel like making a trap record, I'm gonna do that. Like, I'm bored, I have ADHD, and I could do a lot of who wouldn't want to do it?
What's like the wildest collab that you can think of that you haven't done yet? Like
That I haven't done?
Yeah, like something.
I haven't done any. I feel like I haven't had any like that many collabs. I think I have like 4 or 5, you know? Tech was awesome to put me onto his fan base and stuff, and he didn't have to do that, but he did. I think, you know, Drum and Arcangel and everybody else like that like was dope. But as far as the collab that hasn't happened for me that I think would be amazing is a big artist that understands what I am. And I won't even say a name because I don't even know who, but I think when people start understanding who I am and what I really bring to the table, then it'll be dope. But as of now, I don't live by my collabs. I know a lot of people wanna get a collab or a cosign so that they could be whoever they want to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they could feel what's the word? Like they could feel like they're valued at a certain thing. Like you want to reach out for all these collabs to make you or to make your identity or to feel co-signed, and it's like, you know, you only need a cosign if you have bad credit. I'm just going to work on my own credit. That's it.
When we say Verizon te da más, we mean it.
La red más premiada ahora incluye Disney Plus, Hulu e ESPN Plus.
Todos pueden tener lo que quieren sin pagar de más.
Y todo desde $35 por línea. The network more people rely on te da más. Cámbiate a Verizon.
What was like a crazy like left field collab? Like, I don't know. I know you grew up listening to a lot of like, you know, Spanish music. Like for me, my pops, my fam is like proud when they see me doing stuff like on Univision or like being doing things like oh, that's mi hijo, me, because you know, if I do stuff, you know, other than like they don't really understand a lot of the things that I do do on a you know, daily basis. Something like, oh, cool, my son did this, or he's collaborating with this, or he's interviewing.
Yeah.
But is there like a wild left field collab? Like, I don't know, like Los Angeles Azules and like some crazy.
I think if I did something with someone like OG Mexican, definitely. You know what I mean? Like, I think my parents, at this point, I'm not gonna lie, I just took my mom on tour though. Like rather than wait till she sees me somewhere she needs to see me, I took her, like the time that I took her on the bus, I took her on the road, and I showed her the life. You know what I mean? Because it was necessary for me to show her the good and the bad. I needed to show her, this is what a crowd sounds like when my mom's drinking tequila with me on stage. This is the roaring fans. And then also this is what the tour bus life is when I can't get a meal, or I'm going straight from an interview to a meet and greet to, you know what I mean? Like get ready and go on stage and then, drive 18 hours again and then do the same thing again. I needed her to see all that because I think, she doesn't live with me. So she needs to be aware of like, it's a grind. When I'm not picking up the phone, sometimes it's not that I don't want to talk to you. It's just like, sometimes it's just a lot.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's like, the day-to-day is crazy. Like, every day is different. So, what did taking your mom on tour mean to you though?
Everything. Like, my mom's acceptance was very necessary for me because, like I said, she wasn't very doting mom, you know what I mean? So she's kind of more harder to pinpoint with where she's at with things, but it was necessary for me to feel like my mom's proud of me. So like I had to take her on the road and show her and like really give her that, like I'm an entertainer at the end of the day. My shows are good, like I'm gonna bust out the chona and the banda and tequila, and we have a Mexican moment, and I bring girls up on stage. First, I make them twerk, and then I go, all right, now that you twerked and you got that out your system, I need to know who knows how to dance banda, and then I make them dance banda, and, we do all that type of shit. I needed to show my mom, like, the entertainer that she raised, and it was very important. It literally meant everything to me. That's why I was able to move with the confidence that I move now, because it was never about the clout or anybody else. It was about making my mom and my family proud and making them see that I really was gonna do what I said I was gonna do. Once you got that, you got a whole new confidence, and you're, when you walk in a room, you're like, I'm good.
You're in front of the stage with a bunch of people, a lot of your fans, and you have your mom on stage. Did you ever get emotional?
Yeah, I cry every tour. I'm a very emotional person, and also like, this has been a hard journey for me. You know what I mean? It's been very tough. There's times when literally people are complimenting me or like introducing me, and I'm already teary-eyed because I'm like, it's been so, hard. But I'm about to cry right now. No, but it has been very hard. But at the end of the day, like, there's still so much more to go. So I'm just like, it's dope. It's dope that every single thing that happens in my life right now does get to be documented and put out there as a inspiration thing for somebody, because growing up I didn't have a me, like to watch every step. So it's like, we did, of course, like I was a huge Selena fan. I was a huge Lauryn Hill fan. Like, I'm not going to say I'm the first, but I'm just saying like how the internet is now and how, I've documented every single thing and how hard it's been to open up a lane that wasn't otherwise opened. Yeah. Is a struggle, and for every heartbreak that there's been, I think there's a lesson and an inspirational moment for some younger people to be out there and make a wave. And I've said this to everybody, including Jimmy from Rancho Humilde, or anyone from any Mexican that's in this industry. Whenever I run into them and I fucking dap them up, I'm like, bro, it's a wave. It's all coming. Like, and every single one of us was needed in order to make the respect that we need for our people. And at the end of the day, from my dad writing a song for me at 5 years old called La Mexicana or La Mera Mera, I've needed for there to be representation and pride in our people because we're amazing, and that's just it, like when we're being disrespected, or when the media or the president or the eloteros being disrespected, when anybody is, or even when a Mexican person says, like, oh, I'm not Mexican, I'm Puerto Rican, or I'm Spanish, I'd be wanting to slap the shit out of them. Are you kidding me? Do you know how fucking lit we are? Do you know, don't you dare disrespect a people because you are person. Like, you better fucking have respect for us. And that's it. I think that's where it comes from, is I'm very proud as Mexican.
You just talked about how you didn't have someone like yourself to look up to, as you were growing up. Does representation matter?
Very much so. Very much. Even, like, for example, me being LGBT in the Mexican community, as much as I love my people and I say we're perfect and we're the best, I also understand that colorism exists within our community. I also understand that, homophobia does exist within our community. I understand racism exists within our community. And it's necessary for me to poner my gente en alto so that I can also talk to them in private and be like, yo, like, we should fix these things. But you don't want to be out here, like, putting everybody on fucking blast. It's like your family. Like, you don't put somebody on blast in front of the rest of the family. You pull them to the side and you go, hey, yo, like, you better get this shit together, But because it's never done out of trying to shit on my people. It's done out of trying to correct something that is amazing and has all this potential, but we do need to fix some things within our community, But it's all out of love, man. It's all about us.
Is there a full circle moment, Snow, that you're most proud of? Or the first one that comes to mind?
I think this whole thing, I think this whole vibe I'm on, I think this stepping, like I said at the beginning of this, like stepping into my light and understanding that I do belong and that I am who I am, I think that is a full circle moment, because for a very long time, you can even tell by my posture, like I am very, shy and like reserved and like introverted and as a person, but then I got to step into that and be like, yo, I think it's a full circle moment for me to now be walking around and having these interviews from the mindset that I'm at now, when I'm still the same person, still doing the same shit. I just now understand what needed to happen for me to be where I'm at. You know what I mean? So I think I'm in the middle of my full circle, and it feels good, man. I'm very happy and proud that I'm finally more confident about my career.
What would you say is that you're most proud of when it comes to being Latina?
Everything. I love us. I love being Latina. I wouldn't trade for the world. I love that we're all kinds of different, like Latinos. Like, I know I rep Mexicans hard as, my girlfriend's Puerto Rican, my kid's Puerto Rican and Dominican. Like, I love Latinos from everywhere. Like, I love that we're so similar but so different, and that we all are still, I don't know, we speak Spanish, we eat rice and beans. Like, like, I think that's what brings us all together. And I love all the flavor and being bilingual and being able to dance, you know what I mean? And everything that comes with being Latina is amazing. And I'm proud of it.
Earlier you talked about mental health, and I'm a huge mental health advocate myself, Snow. The thing is, I've always been a mental health advocate, but it wasn't until the pandemic that, things got real for me. I started, doing therapy myself and things like that. And I've been talking about it on this podcast, since day one, since we launched. Why do you think, it's such a stigma to talk about that in our community?
Because I think a lot of times people mistake like I said before, right? I'm proud of what my family and my grandparents did for me and my parents did for me. So I should take advantage of every opportunity that's in front of me, and I should do more.
Yeah.
But I don't want to write off that you can have depression, suffer from anxiety, be introverted, have social anxiety, so you can't walk up to people and ask them for things or whatever. I understand that. So I think balancing, dealing with the traumas that have been passed down to us, and also the responsibility that comes with, okay, I have it better than my grandparents did.
Right.
I have it better than my parents. I'm allowed to say that, I have all these things, and I'm allowed to feel that and process it, but I also have to push through it. You know what I mean? And it's not to say that you're going to write it off, because, like, I suffer from depression, and I still have had my bouts recently, where people, will be like, oh, well, you ain't happy when you're making money and you're still depressed. So, and it's like, okay, but I'm allowed to feel those feelings. I suffer from depression. I'm not depressed.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna have those days, and you're gonna push through it, and you're gonna breathe, and you're gonna meditate, and you're gonna open the Calm app or whatever you need to do to cope, and then you're gonna and push through it because you know that there's a brighter day. But it doesn't mean that you're gonna identify as just this depressed person and you're gonna succumb to every thought that you have, because that's just not how it works. And I have this argument sometimes with people who suffer from depression as well, because they're like, well, it's not that easy. And it's like, it's not. Yeah. There's been times when I'm crying. I've literally left the stage and had to walk to the back and cry and then come back and just had to do this to my DJ and tell him to keep going so that I can deal with what I'm dealing with.
Wow.
And it's like, it's not easy, but I'm telling you from a person who has had to do it in front of people, just keep going. Because if you don't, all you have left is to quit and die, and you're not going to die. So keep going.
Wow. So that's happened to you. You've experienced that like during a show?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've had a couple of those, but one of them definitely was very strong because I had just finished a press run. Yeah. So it was just a lot of questions about, me failing or me not doing what Atlantic hoped, or like, it was just all these negative questions of like, they weren't trying to necessarily make me feel bad, but the questions,
like, they're negative, and
and you're just like, okay, I just did 10 interviews where they're just digging at me, and I'm like, and at the time I was still at Latinx, so there's no way to even, I wasn't trying to talk shit about the label, but I'm not trying to, but it's like, I know, you know what I mean? It's just this frustration, and then you go in front of the fans and you're looking at them and you have no answers for them. You're just like, they're like, Snow, we believe in you, like, when are you gonna pop off? And you're just like, I have no answers for you. All I know is I make music, you connect to it, we with it. This industry doesn't. I don't know where to, so that's why I had to, those dark moments make you leave, disconnect, come back refreshed, and be like, okay, let me take a different approach, which is no industry at all, me, the fans, my family, and that's it. And let's see if this works. Yeah. And the fact that it has been working makes me realize I wasn't tripping, I wasn't crazy. It wasn't me, it was the people involved.
Right. No, that's important for you to talk about, to share, and I appreciate you sharing that.
Of course.
Sharing that here. When it comes to how you personally deal with going through a tough time when it comes to mental health. Mm-hmm. For someone else that is probably watching or listening and is going through something like that, what advice, what can you share that can potentially help somebody?
I think everything that we all, like, lately everybody kind of tells you stuff and it starts to feel redundant. It starts to feel like, like cliche, like, okay, meditate or, pray or whatever. It's like, I can only tell you what has worked for me, which is those things. And also, Google and YouTube help me. When you're in a dark space, try to find any single productive thing. I'm talking about the most simple shit, like a DIY to a 99-cent store. Like if you don't got the money, DIY 99-cent store decoration for your house or your room, or clean your room, or just anything that is like one little grain towards the right thing. And you just start stacking those little grains, and every single little win that you feel, just focus on that. You know what I mean? And it's that small and that simple. The thing is, a lot of times people don't want to do the work. A lot of times people rather sulk in that identity of being depressed and like, please, when is someone going to save me? And it's like, they're not coming. Like no one's coming to save you, like just start with one little grain, one little small little thing. And if it adds up, dude, like I'm living proof of it. Like I can't even, sometimes people go, when did this happen? And I'm like, it just was one little grain at a time. There wasn't a turnaround moment for me. There wasn't that big, like someone came and gave me a feature and here I am. It was hard earned, and but you do it. And then you make a good amount of money and you buy a house with a pool and have a kid and love your life.
When it comes to, I like to add to what you're saying, when it comes to mental health, sometimes when you are in that hole, you just said no one's gonna come to save you. You gotta like figure it out on your own. I agree with that. At the same time, there's people that if there's help to that you can find now. There's like free therapy and things like that. You know, sometimes when you're in a deep hole, and you don't see that light, if you know of someone that is going through a tough time, it's, you know, call, with their permission, call these places for them, you know, like no one can get you out of that hole, but hey, like there's people that can throw you a rope, right?
Yeah.
So if you're one of those people, you know somebody's going through a tough time, you know, I think it's important to you know, ask them, do you need a rope? Throw them the rope.
Yeah, definitely. As long as the person wants, and as long as the person wants to put forth some sort of effort themselves as well.
Yeah.
'Cause,
Yes.
you know, there's another side of that coin where I've been, you know, there's times too when people kind of use those mental health things to kind of pull your strings.
Yeah,
Then you're
pull
just sitting
you
there
down, yeah.
and you're just kind of like, you're trying to help, but they just keep, you know what I mean? And magically they're all better. And then you're just like, and then the next time that they want something out of you, you know, and it's like mental health is tricky. It's tricky to talk about because I've seen all sides of it and it gets crazy, you know, but definitely, man, I've been lately just telling people, just try to be good people. You know, if you see someone that needs help them. If you're having, you know, if you're having a bout of some sort of depression or anxiety or something, remember, you know, the people around you are your friends. They're trying to help you.
Yeah.
So if they're trying to help you, help yourself as well for them. Even if you use your love for someone else as you're catapulting towards trying to help yourself, just do it, you know.
Yeah.
Me, I have a kid, so my kid saved my life, literally. Like, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't even tell you that I am where I am. So, you know, sometimes your love for somebody else just is what you need.
That day-to-day motivation. Talk to me about the little wins.
Yeah.
Talk to me
The little
about
ones, yeah. So Charlie, so there's this guy named Charlie that he's on Instagram, and he always talks about the little wins, which is funny. I'm laughing because my girlfriend and she always says, you know, I didn't beat that. That's a little win. And I'm like, that's not a little win, but I guess technically it is a little win. So whatever. Yeah, man. I think those tiny wins are important. Put a little check, you know, a little star, whatever you need to give yourself validation of like, okay, I'm doing good. Like, you know, and sometimes that's what you need, man. Like, focusing on the negative is just so easy. Sometimes it becomes, like I said before, it becomes your identity. Sometimes it's like cozy. You know what I mean? It's like cozy to just sit there and sulk and like be depressed and like lay there and not do anything and be like, I'm too depressed to do anything. But you're watching TV though, but you're scrolling on the internet though, but you know what I mean? Like, you're doing all those things though. So you got some sort of energy. So get the up. Small win. I got up out my bed. Small win. I took a shower. Small win. You know what I mean? Just add those up and eventually you're going to be out the house and doing something, you know? I don't know. I'm all for progressive, like, try to get out of it, because there's been too many people that don't, and then they go to drugs, and then whether they do it on purpose or it's just an accidental overdose, you're going to go down a path that sometimes ends up hurting everyone around you more than, you know, than if you would have just called them or took up some of their time by hanging out.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
Snow. So, you know, during the pandemic, there's been a lot of different things that we had to like kind of deal with and work out on our own. You know, Zoom became big, like virtual interviews and virtual meetings and things like that. Is there an app or a device that you use, and maybe even a program that you've gotten into in the last year?
Mm-hmm. Well, I've been podcasting. Me and my girlfriend, we podcast Tuesdays and Thursdays. We just get a bottle of wine. We go downstairs and we go downstairs. My cousin is usually with us as well, and we just talk, you know. And we talk to our fans, and there's a lot of our fans have let us know, like, you know, that's helping them. That's helping them, you know, like look forward to something, or we vlog, or, you know, I do like the Calm app. I think whenever I really am having anxiety or I can't stop my brain, you know, I listen, I check that out. But
you
calls have been great.
You live podcasts, right?
Huh?
You do like,
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I've been watching Joe Rogan's podcast since the beginning of it, you know what I mean? And like, yeah. Joe Diaz, and all of them. But yeah, the live podcast, and then we take it off though, like you can't see it.
Oh, okay.
You know, like you just could hear it. But it's only it's only up while it's live.
And you guys stream
on YouTube.
On YouTube.
Yeah, but then like if you're a paying member, you can rewatch them whenever you want. But you know, that's just been a way to kind of pivot away from we're not touring, so it's like, you know, you want to watch us do dumb. So sometimes we do live streams, like, you know, barbecuing, or kind of like like a fly on the wall type style. So we leave the camera and we're just living, and you just get to see part of our life, you know. Fans like that.
I love that. So Snow, here lastly we have little part of our show called Rapid Fire with Snow the Product.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you a few questions here.
Okay.
And some are yes or no, some are this or that. Super easy.
All right.
So Rapid Fire with Snow the Product.
I'm nervous. All right.
Don't be. They're good. They're good. Favorite song to perform?
Favorite song to perform? Waste of Time.
Biggest celebrity crush growing up?
I think part of the reason I like Gloria Trevi so much was because I had a crush on her. Yeah, I like Gloria Trevi.
Corridos?
Maybe Gaitán too, sorry.
Final answer?
Gloria Trevi.
Corridos or mariachi?
That's a hard one. I like them for two different reasons, but I gotta go with mariachi because if I don't, my dad and my family's gonna kill me.
Favorite Latinx food dish?
I like enchiladas. You can never go wrong with enchiladas. Yeah.
I know you use enchilada in your lyrics too.
Yeah, I like enchiladas. Cheese enchiladas are good because even if you go to like a super Tex-Mex, sorry to all my Texas people, but y'all's Tex-Mex stuff is different. Enchiladas can never go wrong, you know.
Our director of photography is from Texas.
Look, man, I lived in Texas forever, and the argument of the Cali and the Texas food is always different. But Tex-Mex is like its own identity. Like you gotta, like once you want that, then you go and get that, you know.
He likes cheese on his tacos.
Oh yeah, yeah. And you guys have queso too. Then when I came out here, like I got used to the queso in Texas, so I came out here and I was just like, they don't got fucking queso? Yeah, yeah.
Best song to play at a party?
Back that up.
A nickname that no one really knows about?
I think some of my fans know this, but growing up, I was always called Frijol. Like that was
Frijol?
my nickname. Frijol, yeah. So that's just my nickname since I was a little girl.
Frijol. Who would call you Frijol?
Everybody. Yeah, everybody. On my mom's side of the family, they called me that. They called me Fifol at the beginning because I had a lisp. So they would be like, Fifol, Fifol. And then they called me Frijol once I grew up because I was an adult Frijol now. So, yeah.
All right. Lastly, actually, I'm going to ask you two more. Best singer of all time?
Oh, best singer of all time. I have to go with Miss Lauryn Hill.
Best rapper of all time?
Best rapper of all time. What are we comparing here though? That'll get me in trouble. Dang. Pun. Rap. I would say Pun.
R.I.P. Pun.
Big Pun. Man. Big Pun.
Snow the Product. Thank you.
Thank you.
So much, Snow.
Thank you. We laughed, we cried, we were anxious. We survived.
We did it all.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you guys.
I appreciate you. Follow Snow the Product. And thank you so much for watching Mando and Friends presented by Verizon.
Want to hide one of your home screen windows on your iOS device? Click and hold until your apps are toggling. Tap the three dots at the bottom. Click on the page you want to hide and click Done. Your screen is gone. For more tech tips, keep watching and listening to Mando and Friends, presented by Verizon.